Speaking of maps being poorly received, the areas of Heavensward. People constantly call Azizla the worst map in the game. If it's not there, it's the Sea of Clouds.
Wait, why? I've actually never heard that. I think Sea of Clouds is one of the coolest looking maps in the game, actually. Oh, it's too big? Oh, aetheryte placements? Oh, okay.
Locks is a distant third for what I see people call the worst. But the other maps often aren't seen too positively either. Kurthis Western Highlands isn't too positive. Ishgard itself confuses people. The tower in the Forelands confuses people too. Treading Mists is Mughals, and Hinterlands? It's just Azizla again. They're large and have poor aetheryte placement. People also hated the ether current placements. The worst one is always called that super easy one to get in the locks. The amount of complaints about these maps, they just keep coming anytime a newbie goes through them, and then the vets chime in about hating them too.
I don't think I really have an opinion. Whenever I go through a zone or whenever I have to find like aetheryte currents, I just assume I'm going to be miserable. I don't necessarily think it's reaching. Well, I mean, like, look at the map here, right? I mean, the thing about the aetherites is definitely true. Like, this is horrible. Like, there should be one here and one here. There's no reason why there's no aetherites, man. But I guess my point being is, like, the aetherite placements could actually be better. I've just never really thought about it.
Placement. Kurthis Western Highlands.
I mean, this is pretty shit, too. There should be one here and there should be one here. I guess I've never really thought about it before. But yeah, I don't really have an opinion on this because my first leveling experience is always pretty miserable because I just skip everything because I want to get to the end game as fast as possible because I want to, I want to make the guides. I want to experience the gameplay at max level, and I go back and I do the story, you know what I mean? Or at least I did for Endwalker because that's what I care about the most. Like the story is second to me. I care about the game balance, the jobs, the job design, that type of stuff. So that's why I rush it.
The worst one is always called that super easy one to get in the locks. The amount of complaints about these maps, they just keep coming anytime a newbie goes through them, and then the vets chime in about hating them too. Or, forgotten like Training Mists. People forget this place so often. Even I do. They also forget Lord of Verminion exists.
I have never played Lords of Verminion.
Lord of Verminion? That like, RTS game in the Golden Saucer? Lord of Verminion? No? Well, I don't blame you. But that was Heavensward too. I don't know where to put this point that would fit naturally, but the Void Arc? I don't know about you, but anytime I did Void Arc, people would spend the duty saying how much they hated it.
Yeah,
Maybe
a lot of people hated Void
might
Arc.
say they thought it was fine or liked it, but they were then quickly drowned out by everyone getting right back to dunking on it. Something I have seen no other raid go through. Crystal Tower is only attacked as much as it is because of fatigue. Void Arc? People didn't like it from day one, and is my undisputed least favorite Alliance raid. And now...
What's your guys' least favorite Alliance raid? Like, I didn't love Void Arc. Void Arc is one of my least favorite. Crystal Tower. Crystal Tower is the least favorite. Okay, hold on. What's your favorite if you're trying to level? There it is. CT. There it is. Okay. All right. Let me re-ask the question. But you can't say Crystal Tower. So what's your least favorite? You can't say Crystal Tower. Near. Still Void Arc. Near. A lot of people are saying near. Which near? The first, second, or third? The last two? Fuck, man, I don't know what my least favorite is. Void Arc is definitely one of them. This is going to be crazy, but I actually like the first one of the near raid series the least. And it's kind of crazy because my opinion on that has changed like 4 times. When I first did it, I liked the environment, like the city with like the vegetation and all that stuff. And then I did the second one and I wasn't really too big a fan of it. The puppets, that's the puppets bunker, right? And then the last one with the red girl. So now, actually, after I've played the game, my personal favorites of those 3 are the last one, actually, then the second one, and then the first one. I actually like the third one the best. But when I first did it, I hated it. But I think that one of the funniest mechanics that they've ever put in the game has been the mechanic in the third near raid where you get ran over by a train. Dude, when I saw that mechanic and I got hit by that train, dude, I fucking died, man. I thought that was so fucking funny. Just the fact that you can get hit by a fucking train, man. That's just so funny to me, man.
Well, let's talk about the story. When A Realm Reborn ended, people were extremely excited to see where the story would go. Nanamo was dead. Ralbon just committed.
Whoa! come on, bro. Fucking, where's the spoiler tag?
Did cold-blooded murder against one of the monitorists, and the Scions wanted for regicide. Even for as much as the common man would believe, and the Scions wanted for regicide.
Whoa.
Even for as much as the common man would believe in the Scions after what they did, the odds were against us. And then that plot point became a massive disappointment for most people. Nanamo was not dead. Lolorito, not out of the kindness of his own heart, if he even has one, saved her life. Raubon was freed moments before this realization. The Scions all disappearing, Y'shtola gets plucked from the life stream with permanent loss of eyesight. She now has to see by sensing the ether in the world around her. It's implied that this is slowly draining her life force, and is another plot point that gets dropped. Though technically that's—
Whoa, hold on. I'm learning more lore here in the past, 5 seconds than I ever did.
It's not Heavensward's fault, but was it just meant to be Motoya warning her not—
She can see your tit head? Can she see your band?
—to overwork herself? Why did it sound like Y'shtola is literally dying by the second, more than we all are naturally? Thancred just gets spat out somewhere in Dravania. He did lose his ability to manipulate ether, which shouted—
Dude, Thancred was a rogue, bro. He went from highest raid buff DPS to the highest DPS tank. Dude, Thancred don't fuck around, man. He's a meta slave. Thancred's so meta. What the fuck?
Shadowbringers goes really far into making a really awesome part of his character, so thanks for that, Heavensward. Minfilia is in limbo, but with Hydaelyn herself. She's so excited right before she's taken. If anything—
He was a bard first. Nah, you know what? Okay, for those of you that don't remember, in A Realm Reborn, you ran double bard because they did as much damage as a melee DPS, but they were ranged.
This is a good outcome
So it
for
lines
her,
up.
even if, Thancred dies a couple dozen times inside before this gets fully resolved. Ida and Papalimo? Yeah, they just went somewhere.
Dude, these cutscenes.
This gets fully resolved. Ida and Papalimo.
These cutscenes are so crazy because you just see Wesker in the cutscene. I'm half expecting him to be like, Chris, I don't even know what's going on in this cutscene, but all I know is that there is a T-virus outbreak somewhere.
Limo? Yeah, they just went somewhere over there, just sitting around with the Alamegans over there. But everyone is technically alive. Even Minfilia, until Reen eats her. So much of a disappointment for people, so much of a backtrack of what happened. People were convinced Papalimo was alive after he finally did die.
Who is Papalimo?
To seal Shinryu.
Is that the guy that makes mods?
So people were convinced he does not die here. Only now that Endwalker has fully and completely confirmed Papalimo is dead, will people be forced to stop. One of the criticisms of the game as a whole is the developers being afraid to kill people off. Y'shtola being the face of the game and stuff like Dissidia probably plays a part of why her eyes are no longer something deadly. It's why people were convinced Papalimo would come back, no matter how much evidence that he was dead. Nobody else dies unless they are a side character. Nanamo? I kinda give a pass. How hard must it be to write along the—
Yo, what about Save Him? Save Him died? Horse font? Oh, it was a side... Oh, really? Okay.
The direction they wanted to go, with one of your 3 leaders being dead. Raubon definitely wouldn't just become the leader of the new government Nanamo wished to establish. Even when going home to Alamigo, he remains a general. He's charismatic and smart, but he knows who he is. So what would you do?
Meeting a tuna sub.
How do you genuinely keep Nanamo dead? The patch content of Heavensward would entirely be taken up by this plot point. Even killing Thordan with him technically having an heir takes up significant plot time in Heavensward patch quests. Figuring out how to progress Ulda is too much on top of that. So you just trick the players into thinking she's dead, even if it leads to some disappointment that they didn't keep to it. This was the first expansion of the fledgling MMO. It really shows. Half of all the things it tried to do ended up failing. Sure, we had successes like Deep Dungeon, but that doesn't erase all the different ways people were disappointed in the course of the expansion. And then they were told to skip sort or disband. It's no wonder one of the issues the game currently...
Okay.
And then they were told to skip sort or disband.
Yeah.
It's no wonder one of the
There was a time, guys, where Party Finder was mandatory for 5 DPS to skip SOAR. And if you didn't, the party disbanded.
issues the game currently has now is taking chances. When they do, people often hate it. Even the 2-minute burst of Endwalker.
You know, maybe I should do a video about this, about the 2-minute meta. I feel like that the 2-minute meta is okay, and I've said this before, but the jobs need to be harder. Because if you were to take the 2-minute meta and put it back in like Stormblood, I think the game would actually be better because the jobs were a little bit harder back then. But you can have the 2-minute meta and easy jobs. Just TLDR, when people say, lol, the 2-minute meta, it's so easy, 2-minute meta, there's more to that statement than just raid buffs. The biggest chunk of that statement actually isn't even the 2-minute meta. It's how easy the jobs are.
Could be seen as a risk they took, and that got a level of criticism too. Why take risks if it's going to kill the game? Let's make one last point. Regardless of quality, because let's be real, objectively, the quality of the game remains good. Let's compare the amount of content Endwalker has next to Heavensward. First, we have dungeons. Heavensward has a big list of 18 dungeons, with Endwalker only having 13. That's 5 less when you don't count V and C dungeons. Add those in and we have 16 dungeons for Endwalker, 2 less, but consider that V and C is 2, technically 3, difficulties. A massive puzzle-based dungeon you're meant to run repeatedly for different paths, fights, and the true ending, and basically a raid.
You know, this is actually a good point. Never really thought about this before. Would you guys rather have no variant in Criterion and 18 dungeons or 13 dungeons and 3 variant in Criterion? I think the extra dungeons they put in are a waste. These extra dungeons are worthless. You can add way more to these than you can with this. All this is just goes into the expert roulette and is completely fucking forgettable. I think that like dungeons like hard mode, Sestasha, I think all that is a waste. Like I don't give a shit about normal dungeons at all. Now I know that some people do, but for those people that do, this is a question for you. Do you actually enjoy the normal dungeons over the variant? I think that if you're gonna have something easy in the game, wouldn't it be better to have a variant because there's different paths, there's a secret boss, and shit like that? I would rather have a variant than an extra dungeon that I'm only going to do purely because it's in the expert roulette. I've never really compared variant dungeons to a normal dungeon. It's not really the same type of content. I'm not going to say this comparison is bad or wrong. It's just kind of weird is all. One thing that I personally cannot get behind is there are some people that love these expert dungeons, man. I don't understand. I cannot for the life of me understand why that there are people that absolutely love the expert dungeons. Like every single expert dungeon is exactly the same, except for the aesthetics. It is exactly the same. Also, keep in mind, I'm not saying you're dumb or anything. All I'm saying is that I don't understand. I don't get why that there are people that like these expert dungeons so much. Because to me, they're all the same, and I don't see a need for there to be this many dungeons in the fucking game. That's me, though. Maybe it's because I don't want to do the expert to begin with. So maybe my opinion doesn't really matter, but whenever I look at the dungeons in this game, they're all pretty much the same. And I think the devs actually agree, which is why they've been reducing the number of dungeons and trying new shit. That's what I think.
So really, even if we count variant as just one, despite having 5 completely unique bosses, Criterion definitely is worth counting as a second dungeon. So we have 19 dungeons. And maybe it's just me, but I tend to see people call doing roulettes as the lowest form of content. More variety in those roulettes is nice, but it's hardly more content. Raids, 12 normal and savage, and 3 alliance. Yeah.
One last thing on this. I would never compare Criterion to a dungeon. Criterion is something completely different.
No difference until you count Endwalker having 2 ultimate raids. 13 jobs to 19 jobs and a limited job. This one is less of a measure against each other, and more of a show of how much more Endwalker has due to coming so much later. Endwalker has the content of all previous expansions inside of it. Have you really done all of it? Crafting and gathering. About the same when you account for what didn't work in Heavensward and was removed. But you might also count that Endwalker has 3 custom deliveries to Heavensward's 1, and the fact that ocean fishing gets updates. How about open field content? Despite how many people were very loud about how awful Eureka and Bosia were, those of us who liked that
I can't express that enough. Like, for those of you that played back in Eureka and Boja, there were people that would constantly complain about how boring and how, like, fucking awful it was. Now, I did complain that it was boring, and I still do think it was boring. But I also complimented it because it's really good content where I just want to, like, go in with some friends and hang out and just fucking, you know, I basically just want to play the game without playing the game. And in that case, it's really good content. So, like me, I liked it to a certain extent, but I also didn't like it. But my opinion on it has not changed at all.
Content, we're disappointed that Endwalker had none of this. Heavensward had instead the Diadem. I mean, the Diadem V2. Yeah. Well, both expansions have a deep dungeon. People like deep dungeons, right? Palace of the Dead is double the size, but not inherently double the enjoyment. Some people prefer the...
That's one thing I will never be able to get behind this. There are some people that genuinely think that fucking Palace of the Dead is better because it has more floors. Palace of the Dead having more floors does not fucking matter. Because, okay, so I've done Palace of the Dead. Until you get to like floor 150, it is the most boring, miserable pile of shit in this fucking game, man. It is awful. It is inflated as fuck. There is no reason why there's 200 fucking levels. The only reason, okay, that I can think of is because it was the first time. But I do enjoy doing the deep dungeons like with some friends, you know, at least once.
The Diadem. Well, trials. Both have 7 trials, unless you count Unreal. Sure, it's the same exact fight as originally, but with numbers scaled up. But it's probably the closest you can get to experiencing the trials as...
I love Unreal. I wish that we would have more Unreal content. Like, I wish that we would have, like, instead of 1, it would be 2. I think that'd be sick.
They were at launch. Massive system overhauls? Heavensward added Cross-World Party Finder. Before we had World Visit, Data Center Visit, all that, we had to form all parties in the same world. Sure, Duty Finder was across the whole data center, but Party Finder? Nope. Thank you, Heavensward. Endwalker, meanwhile, has the biggest PvP revamp, new toolkits for all jobs, a new mode, and they've started retooling the frontline maps. Oh, and data center travel. Well, and then, well, that's it? I guess the Alliance raid had the Proto Ultima weapon fight. Endwalker has the Azura fight that you could fight at Fanfest.
So, real quick, the Proto Ultimate, it was actually a letdown. And the reason why I say it was a letdown was because at FanFest, okay, so it was the 2016 FanFest, I think, and I went to that one. So that one in particular, when you did the Proto Ultima, it was a 24-man trial, okay? So it wasn't in like an Alliance raid, and it was a lot better than the thing that they put in the game. It had more mechanics. Like, basically, they took this 24-man trial. So the one we got wasn't the version from FanFest. The version at FanFest had more mechanics and it had a longer fight. So when they said that they were going to announce it, for those of you that played, the Proto Ultima trial was only at FanFest. So if you did not play it at FanFest, you'll never get to play it. That's why people were mad when they said that they were going to put it in the game, because what they put in the game was not what people played at FanFest. If they would have put the one at FanFest in the game, it would have been better. That's all I'm trying to say.
Though they might decide to put that into the game in Dawn Trail, in which case you can scratch that. Oh, Hildebrand!
Wait, there actually is a video of the... Oh, yeah, okay. Yo, let's watch the video. Oh, God. 24 tanks killed Proto Ultima. Yo, you know what? We tried to do this. Are they gonna zoom in on the characters? Or on the screens? Dude, look how small, dude. Look how small this is, man. Like, this is the whole place, pretty much. It's just crazy to see how far this game has come, you know? Oh, here we go. Dude, this is sick, man. Yo, there's so many. He just keeps turning. Oh, look at this, man. Look at that buff right there. Deliverance, bitch. Dude, it's dying so fucking fast. Holy shit. Yeah, but it was a single trial. He's dealing like no damage. Holy fuck. Yo. Okay. Alright, I want to give a shout out to Event 3 because this right here is the most content respect I have ever seen in my fucking life. What a fucking legend. Insane. That is Giga Chad shit. So far, everything's the same. I don't know why I remember it differently. Like, I remember this being different. But so far, it's the same. Maybe I've been misremembering mine the entire time. But I thought there was, like, a couple more mechanics. Okay, so this is identical. Yeah, this is the same. But when they announced that they were going to put this in the game, everybody thought it was going to be just a trial. You know what I mean? Like, everybody thought it was just going to be... This would be kind of cool, actually. You know, this would be really awesome content to put in the game. What if there was a fight where, let's say it was the difficulty of P9 and it was a single fight, so you could think of it like a Savage 24 man, but it was just one fight. That would be awesome. That would be like super fun to not only do for blind, but also like maybe it had a weekly lockout or something. It would be awesome content to like play with you guys and stuff too. I understand people, 24 people are like look guys, look, I'm not saying make it super hard, okay? Basically, you would make it like somewhere around like DRS or whatever, you know, somewhere around that. I feel like it would be fine. Anyway, yeah, so I guess this is new. Yeah, so this shit's new. Yeah, okay. So I remember it being different. Yeah, okay, so that's, I think that's new, right? Yeah, that's definitely new. Yo, wait a minute. How the fuck do you have a DC? This is like a LAN party. Did he rage quit? Oh, no, he's back. Yo, he's back. Hell yeah. Oh, no, dude. Look, they're dying, bro. Where's the clemency, man? Yeah, this is new, dude. See, look.
No damage yet.
Yeah, this is new. I told you it was different. Oh, wait, no, this is in-game. Never mind. No, never mind. The other stuff was new. Never mind. The other stuff was new. Sorry, guys, it's been a while. It's been a while, okay? It's been a while.
Damage! Damage!
20 seconds to Supernova? Bro, burn it! Burn it!
Damage, schneller!
LB, yeah, LB. Somebody actually LB, man. Someone actually used the LB. Imagine if they would have wiped because some fucking tank hit the LB. And of course it was a paladin, dude, of course.
People like the Heavensward parts of Hildy, right? And they like the Endwalker parts. Said Endwalker parts also include a solo duty. On that note, Heavensward had a very grindy Relic. While the only grind for Heavensward is doing the relatively short Hildebrand questline, that comparison being how long it takes next to how long Relics take to do.
Okay, the Relic, this expansion, has been absolutely abysmal and absolutely awesome at the same time. I really hate the fact that they tied the Relic to Hildebrand. And the reason why is because I feel like that forcing a player to go all the way back to this shit and do these quests for the weapon, I feel like is unnecessary. Like, I get you want people to enjoy the quest. I get you want people to do the quest. But as a newer player, if I was just going to play this game and I'm like, yeah, I need gear and I want to do the Relic, if I found out that I had to go all the way back here, yes, I would do it, but I would automatically go into this quest not liking it. Because you're forced to do it, it sets up like a negative feeling, at least for me.
To many, grindy relics are bad, so Heavensward Relic is bad, right? I prefer the grindy Relic. And as mentioned, Heavensward did add airships for free companies. Not really sure what this could be comparatively to Endwalker, if anything. Oh, and we have maps! Maps are cool, and Endwalker has multiple dungeons! So, now that's it, right? So what the hell, I thought Endwalker has nothing to do compared to previous expansions. The other best expansion had even less to do. I'm sure you could maybe pick out a couple things here or there I missed in Heavensward, but you could also do the same for Endwalker. And I could also bring up those damn Moogles and their tribal quests being locked behind quests that aren't even marked blue. We can also...
Okay, guys, I want you to pay very close attention to his movement, because right now there's a cheat going around. Okay, let's see.
Do the same for Shadowbringers. What that has is Diadem V3 and Bosia, a piece of content widely criticized. I'll say again, the lack of another Eureka-like thing was disappointing for me, but it isn't like there's nothing to do without it. It isn't like...
Now, up until he got hit, I was going to say he was cheating, because there's no way that someone's that good at the game.
That was the only content in the entire game. And Diadem is hardly this complex thing. It's collectibles and basic gathering. Exfit crafts are a new feature, but still is not this giant new thing. You need to grind a ton for the Paternodon, but as far as there being content to do, it is extremely little, especially with the Ishgardian reconstruction being long gone. Even when it was active, it was extremely time sensitive. I only ever got to do like 5 of the things. Most of them happened at like 3 AM. Fates are nice to have, but it's still less than what most people might consider content. Even if there's really nothing to do in Endwalker, there was nothing to do in...
I'm just kidding, guys. I don't think he was cheating. Jesus.
Shadowbringers either. Nothing to do in Heavensward, with half the activities being actively disdained and even removed. If it is bad now, it was always bad. You just are in denial at some point. Like, one person even said, "What am I gonna do? Fishing?" Seriously? Have you not heard about Here to Fish and Mahjong? The person who is here to fish and Mahjong? But like, I don't want to be all negative, because pointing out the positives is a major part of what makes something good criticism. At least when they do exist. I can hands down, no question say without any doubt that I find Heavensward is the worst Final Fantasy XIV has ever been. But then why can I also say at the same time that Heavensward has my absolute favorite pieces of content in the entire game? My favorite trials, my favorite dungeon, my favorite alliance raid. Yes, in the same expansion as my least favorite raid of Void Ark is my most favorite raid in Dunscaith.
Okay, and I don't know what they're going to say, but one thing that I think people forget, just because a Final Fantasy expansion was bad in relation to other Final Fantasy expansions, doesn't mean that it's bad in relation to other games. I will gladly take the shittiest Final Fantasy expansion over any other MMO. Any other MMO. Now, I know that some people, they're not going to agree with that, okay? But Final Fantasy XIV is the best MMO I have ever played. It has the best rating, the most stable, the most reliable, everything. I've played a lot of other MMOs, and Final Fantasy XIV is my favorite. The reason why, in my opinion, I think that you can say that a particular expansion was the worst is because not everything about that expansion is going to be the worst. My favorite expansion is actually Stormblood because of the job design, but what really sold Stormblood for me were there were 2 ultimates and every single raid tier was a fucking banger. Now, what I did not like about Stormblood, I thought BA was awful. The primals, I thought they were fucking awful. So while Stormblood was my favorite expansion, I also hated parts of it. I value implementation and accessibility. So you can have the greatest content in the game, but if it's not accessible or if it's implemented a horrible way, I won't like it. So I'll give you an example. BA compared to DRS. Okay, DRS was way better, 100% better in every way, shape, or form. When you got into BA, it was fine. But getting into BA completely soured the experience for me. I hated how tedious it was. I hated that you had to actually do all of the other pieces of content because I had friends that were interested in it, but they didn't want to do Eureka because it's fucking boring as shit. So they didn't want to do it. I think that the implementation of it was awful.
Heavensward is so praised because of its extremely high highs, often making people forget the extremely low lows. But it would be unfair if I didn't also talk about those high highs. I am working on a dedicated video for this part, but I need to mention it here. With the release of 3.1, we got the release of The Minstrel's Ballad, Thordan's Reign, a fight where you truly feel at a disadvantage, fighting the entire Heavensward, where even your party of 8 is the smaller force. And it's just amazing, and by far the single best trial the game has ever had. When I am disappointed by a trial, it's in comparison to Thordan, and then probably Ravana in second. There is a high that fight gives me that nothing else has.
It was pretty good at the time.
Even Dragon Song Reprise Ultimate. Yes, even Death of the Heavens in Drew doesn't give me the same feeling as doing Thordan Extreme does. And I like Drew. I never cleared, unfortunately, but I want to remedy that, since I was at...
The fuck is Drew? Oh, DSR? My favorite primal of all time is definitely Titan Extreme. And it's for multiple reasons. One, or the first reason, is that Titan Extreme taught you everything you needed to know about tanking as a player. Like about being a tank player. So that, and because I'm a tank player, that was one reason why. The second reason, I met some of my best friends I've ever had in this game through Titan Extreme. And you know why I met those friends? Because back in the day, if there was someone that wasn't good at the game, you didn't play with those people. I know that sounds mean. That sounds harsh as fuck. But the times were different back then, okay? At the time, we didn't have Discord. We didn't have all of these resources. We had to use the in-game stuff. Okay, let me ask you in chat right now. How many people would only do Titan Extreme through a link shell specifically designed for people that had cleared Titan Extreme? The only time I would do Titan Extreme is if I was going with other people that had already cleared it. That was it. Because Ifrit, whatever. Garuda, whatever. That's pussy mode. So Titan Extreme is when I met Bach and when I met Chet and Xanther and Lays and Bro. Let me put it this way. Titan Extreme is so important to me. You could argue that that because of Titan Extreme, I'm a streamer. And the reason why is because when I did Titan Extreme, I met Chet and Bro and all of them. And Bro is the one that urged me to stream in the first place. So if that fight wouldn't have existed, I might not be a streamer. So that is how important Titan Extreme is to me.
Wrath Flames. But even an Ultimate doesn't replicate the feelings I have and still have for that fight. Again, I'm cutting it short because I will have a whole video just for that. But Heavensward gave me a fight that I don't think will ever be beaten in my eyes. It gave me the best Alliance raid too. Unscathed is a fair level of difficulty, I'd say. It has
Bro
a good
was too
variety in
nice.
its mechanics,
He didn't tell me I was
and Diabolos
balding.
is such an amazing final boss. For
Dude,
as
what the fuck? That guy just ate
variety in its
shit.
Alliance raid too. Unscathed is a fair level of difficulty, I'd say. It has a good variety in its mechanics, and Diabolos is such an amazing final boss. For as absolutely terrifying Phase 2 is, he gives you a checkpoint when he inevitably destroys the Alliance. People freak out so hard when they see they're doing 0 damage for so long, because its stone skin is so beefy. The whole duty is just such a fun time, so varied, and definitely is what all other Alliance raids get compared to for me. Then the dungeon that is the Fractal Continuum. 3 very different
That was a
bosses
really
that
good
all
dungeon.
were fun to
Fractal,
fight.
it was so
Actually
good.
fun trash pools, and just such a fun time in general. Though this was also the patch that had Never Reap, the worst dungeon in the entire game. So maybe a little bit of bias due to that, but I do still love Fractal for itself. it is super fun. And then for what the story did with disappointing me,
What was Neverreap? Was that the one in the clouds? That was one of the clouds, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was horrible. Yeah,
it gave me one of my absolutely favorite moments in the entire game. This entire scene with the late Stephen Critchlow is just pure perfection on the tone and delivery.
Even as the Scions celebrated the return of a long-lost friend, honorable men plotted to deprive them of another.
Oh, yo, that was so toxic. Yeah, the boss would give you accuracy down so you would miss. Oh, that's so toxic. That's so fucked up, man. Damn.
Honorable men, to whom Sir Emmerich was no hero, but a scheming patricide.
Holy shit. What the fuck?
Honorable men, who would fain wash the paving stones of foundation with the tyrant's blood. Honorable men, whose knife in the dark was the spark which set the city aflame, and who sang as it burned.
It gives me chills every time. This is the cutscene from the quest Dreams of the Lost, if you wish to rewatch it for yourself. It's just so damn good. And of course there's the Warriors of Darkness being introduced, everything through Bale's...
Who was that dumb Lalafell? Lambert? Take it back! Take it back! I don't know who Lambert is, dude.
And of course there's the Warriors of Darkness being introduced, everything through Baelsar's Wall, and of course Haurchefant. There are some absolutely amazing moments in this expansion story, including more subdued ones like the relationship between Istinian and Alphino. For all the moments that went sour, moments like this are why we love this game, why we keep coming back. They make us care, and then rip out our hearts for both good and ill. Then at the end of the ride that is the story, we can do some dungeons, raids, and trials. And Endwalker had lots of these too. It had some very
dude is
huge
running away
highs.
with the plus,
Things from
man.
the cold made me feel genuinely sick with fear.
He's going in the
I
electricity.
feared again when Matsuya's life was threatened during the final days. Yet again when we watched Medion turn. But between them all, time to decompress, to recover, only for the game to slap me back down with another moment of excitement, fear, or sadness. All of Ultima Thule, that finale, to say any of the missteps
was good, man. The
story
Endwalker
did have
story was
make
super
these
good, man. I
amazing
thought it was
moments
awesome.
not exist, it's just too much. You don't have to like these moments, but recognize that so many people do. What people probably mostly are down about is the patch quests. Our little adventure was a bit too feeling of a filler arc for most. We got some extremely huge implications through this one, but that's threads we won't see the results of for an expansion or two. After all, as
I'm just talking about the Endwalker beginning. I'm talking about it till the finale. After the finale, it fucking went downhill. Like, I lost interest. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying it was boring to me.
they said at the EU Fanfest, we've already seen most of Hydaelyn. We can't stay on this planet forever. We're gonna need to check out the other shards. But anyway, it felt like a filler arc. Was slow, didn't do much overall, and doesn't lead to Dawn Trail at all. It will probably be the whole reason why we go to Mericidia in 8.0, and connect us to the other shards, where we'll finally lose Y'shtola so she can settle down with Runar. But again,
Who the fuck is Runar? A simp Hrothgar?
level of pull these patches had was just lower. At least seems to be the general feeling. It was very middling, but how do you really do much more while still establishing what they needed to? Perhaps you could say that a middling experience is worse
You
than
guys are so upset. He's an honorable man. Play Shadowbring. Jesus Christ.
one that is a roller coaster of quality, but I don't inherently agree. There are plenty of games that you would also say are like that I put above so many others. But it isn't an inherent truth that one level of quality...
Bruh, you know what's stupid? Why is the variant omnipositional, but the criterion not? Just make it omnipositional, man. Just make it omnipositional, man.
where the other is just outright better. And I don't agree that Endwalker didn't have plenty of highs on the level of Heavensward, or even Shadowbringers. So even comparing the full package of story, Endwalker easily takes it for me. Though I mean, again, I made my bias known. But look through the whole game and how much we've gone through to get to Endwalker. All the polishing, missteps, and successes. Endwalker's biggest failure is not reaching the same consistent highs as Shadowbringers while not doing enough different of its own. People want change, they want risks, and often they don't even know what they truly want. That's why parroting opinions ends up being so common. They can tell they're looking for something that the game isn't hitting, and there's nothing to do becomes the mantra I have read far too many times. There's lots to do, more than the darling that is Heavensward. The thing you should be saying is that there's nothing you want to do. Keep criticizing the game, that much is healthy. I myself put a lot of criticisms in this video, and in my disappointment in Endwalker not having a Eureka or a proper Relic. But saying things that blatantly aren't true won't get the game to where you want it. If your problem is the 2-minute rotation...
That's why when these people complain, man, it's so important to have a reason for your complaints. It's so important to have a reason for your criticism.
Say that and explain why. Not just say the identity of your job is gone. Explain why, because as someone who doesn't religiously play a job that lost its identity, it's the same as it was in Shadowbringers to me. Or in the case of, say, Summoner, kept its identity as a Summoner while being a different job. And that isn't because of the 2-minute meta. Having been thinking about making videos since Heavensward, and leveling everything to cap then, and actually doing it starting with Shadowbringers, I don't see that identity lost the same way you do. I'm just a happy little Dragoon main.
Ah, the cushion broke your fall. How oddly considerate of her.
Who has been happy with Dragoon since A Realm Reborn. We've not lost any identity, so explain it.
Yo, you guys are about to. Oh, you guys are about to. Oh, Dragoon rework coming in hot. You guys ready for one combo? Because that's what you're getting. You know what, dude? They took the Dragoon combo and gave it to Viper. That's what it's going to be. So Dragoon is going to have like one combo, and instead of like Wheeling Thrust and Fanging Claw, you're going to have like Wheeling Claw or like Fanging Thrust. And it's going to be just one ability instead of two. And they're going to completely remove Chaos Thrust and just put the dot on your full thrust. And they're going to take those abilities and stick it on Viper. Because Viper has 2 swords, right? So it needs a combo for each sword, and then it needs a combo when its swords combine. So and it needs to take a combo from Dragoon, take another one from Dragoon, and then have one to combine. That's what they're going to do.
In a way, I and everyone who doesn't see it will understand, not just pointing at timers. If when I ask why 2-minute rotations are bad and I constantly get it ruined the job identity and nothing else, I struggle to believe you because you can't tell me why. This other guy can, but you're just parroting him when you tell me, oh, he did a talk.
Yeah, and I said this earlier, man, is a majority of people that complain about the 2-minute meta, those people don't even know why they're complaining. They don't even sync up their raid buffs to begin with. So you would think that they would be in favor of the 2-minute window. The 2-minute window is bad because the jobs are easy. People like to pretend that syncing up raid buffs is this grand fucking mastery scheme of things that you got to go into the laboratory, put on the lab coat, have your beakers. Okay, we got a 90-second here, got a 3-minute here, got a 2-minute here. Okay, we got to add a little bit of here, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. No, it's not that fucking complicated, man. It's not that fucking complicated. The biggest issue with the 2-minute meta isn't actually the 2 minutes. It's the fucking jobs, man. It's the fact that Dark Knight has one fucking combo. That's the fucking problem, man. It's the fact that they have taken away different abilities.
You can't explain it to me yourself. If you agreed so much, wouldn't you at least be able to say a little bit more than that? But of all the people I've actually been able to talk to about it and not just read or watch a video on, well, they don't give me anything to go off of. You need to give me something, and then give that to the dev team through official sources. Take the time to make actionable feedback, something someone can understand beyond just a feeling you have, and give that feedback. Because if you are so upset at the loud minority casuals ruining your game, then maybe it's time to actually give proper feedback instead of blind anger. Even though most of the changes over the years have been due to high-level players, the casuals didn't care. Endwalker isn't the worst. a statement that somehow can be controversial in some circles because of people who just want to be angry or farm clicks. In some cases, both. But some of the stuff I've seen said after this FanFest has just been far too annoying for me not to hate rate this. Endwalker has its problems, but maybe you really do just need a break. May the power of Anidid Hogsley waste to your enemies.
That was a good video. Yeah, that was a good video. That was a good video. I agreed with a lot of points.